Well, looky here. You are listening to someone who is bold, authentic, diverse, unpredictable. Baby, I am unapologetically Ramon, and you have entered my zone, the QB zone, baby. Hello, somebody.
and and there's no objection.
So, the first person that I'm happy to talk to today about this subject of absentee parents is definitely something that a lot of our community are dealing with, and not even just community, just youth, period, families, period, are really impacted by the loss of a parent and sometimes both. And so, first up today, I have Tiffany Shante Daniels, who is a social worker. She is an amazing mother, friend. She also is a proud FSU grad. So Tiffany, go ahead and say hello to the people.
Hi.
So one of the things that I want to start off with is, what is parenthood to you? You know, I know that we're going to talk about absentee parents, and now you are a new mom. So from your life experience and where you're at now, what does parenthood mean to you?
No, worse. Um, Being there for your child, regardless of your life struggles or what you're personally going through. Hmm, Taking care of your kid, not having family members take care of your kid, and just at least showing your child that that you love them and care for them.
And,
Showing not just from a phone call. You need to be there physically for your child.
right, being present.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, which parent for you was the absentee parent?
My mom.
Okay.
Well, both, honestly.
And just with some of the issues that it can cause some people, um, for you, was it concurrent, or was there a period where one was there and the other wasn't, or did you have periods where both weren't there?
I had periods when both wasn't there. Sometimes it was my dad. Sometimes it was just my mom. So it was like a little bit of both.
Mhm. I know for me, I was raised by my grandmother, which of course you know that. I lived with my grandmother, and there was a period where my mom was present, although we were with my grandparents. And then there was a period where nobody was present. It was just my grandparents. And I
Mm.
know for me, sometimes I would deal with feelings of like jealousy when I would have like my relatives or friends that they had their parents, they had both parents, or during the period where my mom was in my life, being jealous of my relatives who had their father in their life. So did you
Mhm.
ever deal with any kind of like jealousy or any kind of issues like that?
Um, in the beginning, yeah, but after a while, I became real numb to it. So if I see like a friend or a family member that got their mom and their dad, it's like, oh, okay, cool. They were like, oh, where's your parents? Oh, I don't know, but it's okay.
What made you become numb? What
um,
led you to be making numb? Had you gone through too much and you was over it,
yeah,
or
I was kind of over the fact. I just came to realize like, okay, I can't force a person to be there for me and to show me that they love me. Like my mom, it was a period of time where it was just my dad at that time, and my mom was never home ever. Like I didn't see her for months. She had, I guess she was out with another man while we stayed home with dad, and it was just like at first I was kind of upset about it, but then it was just like, why be upset when I know she's not going to be home? When she's not going to come home, she'll rather be with that man than to be home with her kids. So it's just like, whatever.
okay?
Yeah.
And then at what point was the father not there? What age were you when he wasn't there?
When I guess a whole situation broke out, an issue with him and my grandparents or my mom or whomever. and he dropped us off to my grandparents' house, and then he was gone. So he was with grandma and granddaddy for maybe 3-4 years, and was just that. We didn't go see my dad. We didn't see my mom. We just didn't see neither one of them.
Right.
So it was just like one of those things where it's just like, this is the situation, this how it is. So I gotta move on with life.
What gave you that motivation? The reason why I asked it because I know just from us being in social work, a lot of times these kids can be 19, 20 years old, and they're still dealing with the effects of mama and daddy wasn't there. So how were you able to get the motivation to be like, this is what it is, I'm still gonna push forward and be different?
I'm a very observant person. I think we both know that. I'll sit back and watch stuff. And if I don't like something that I'm seeing, it's just like, I want to be different from that. Just like I seen how my grandparents somewhat struggle. It was just like, yeah, that's not gonna happen to me. They say, oh, you're gonna be fat like your mom and your grandmother. Not gonna happen. That's not gonna be me. Like, I always had that mindset where it was just like, if I don't like it and I don't want that, it's not gonna happen. So really, in the midst of everything that was going on, it was just like, I didn't want that life. I didn't want, I mean, yeah, mama and daddy not there, but at the same time, I have my own life to live. They can't live it for me, and I'm not asking them to live it for me. So I had to literally like keep my mind on like the straight and narrow, like, Tiffany, you got to do this, you got to do that without your mama and daddy. Because obviously they don't care enough to come and step in to try to be there for me and support me with my goals and my aspirations and everything else. So it's just like, I have to do it without them.
And I think that's inspiring because, like I said, a lot of our young people, period, they can be 25, 30 years old, having all these problems, and still talk about so-and-so wasn't there when they was 9 and 10. So I think that's amazing that at your young age, when you were younger, that you were able to see for yourself that you wanted to break the cycle, and you was determined. And for those who know, that you've been successful at that, to have a life where you've been able to be independent, go through school, and provide yourself without allowing the stereotypes, because when you don't have a parent there, there's all these stats and statistics against you, so you always have to deal with that kind of stuff.
They told me when I had to been like in 9th grade, 8th grade, I was told that I wasn't going to amount to anything. And now this is a family member. I was not going to amount to anything. And all I was going to do was get pregnant in high school and just live off of the government.
And look at you working for the government, and then you ain't
working for the government. Got my high school diploma that they claimed that I wasn't going to get. Got college degrees.
Right.
And working on another one. So.
And then they have a baby till what, 30?
They ain't had no baby until 31.
31. See, look at it. Would you say that there were any? So for me, I like most boys, you want that father, that relationship with your father. And I think that's most kids, period, but especially when you're a boy. And so I know for me, when I got about 25 years old, I had washed my hands of wanting that relationship, because I felt like at that point I had enough of the disappointment. I had enough of broken promises, and I had to look at my life and compare it to the fact that for me, for example, he has multiple other children, and let me just say, for me, I call him my mama's sperm donor. So he was never present ever in my life. There was a period where my mom wasn't, which different reasons behind that. I think for me, when I focus on absentee parent, though, I always focus on him because for her, I always knew where she was. There was always some way, for those few years when she wasn't there, there was always some way to have contact with her. So I felt like the damage was significantly less from her not being there for those few years than for him who wasn't there the entire years. And so when I got about 25 and I got tired of broken promises, and I started to compare myself to the other kids, because he was there for all his other kids. Of all his kids, I was the only one he wasn't there for. And so a situation happened at 25 when I was like, in 25 years, I've never asked this man for nothing. Never needed to, because my grandparents and my whole family, I didn't want for nothing. And I remember when I washed my hands of it, one of the things that went through my mind was, look at the life I've had,
Mm-hmm.
and look at the life that the ones whose life he was in, look at their life. And not to discredit their life and what their journey was, but it makes me wonder, God did not allow this one man to be in my life, but he gave me a whole bunch of amazing father figures. My granddad is exceptional. My Uncle Philip, my Uncle Johnny, my Uncle Charles, a crap load of male cousins who were always older, mentor growing up, Officer Bird, back home in Brevard County. And so I looked at it from that point, from 25 up, I looked at it as if I feel like I was blessed by him not being present. I feel like I got more advantages than disadvantages. So when you look at your journey, do you feel like you received any advantages or any benefits from either parent or both not being there?
Both not being there.
What would you say some of those advantages were?
Even though it was a struggle, not living with neither one of them and not really having a relationship with neither one of them, I met my boyfriend's mom, who actually stepped into that mother figure and actually gave me some doggone sense. Because in the back of my mind, I was just like, you know what? I graduated high school. I'm not going to college. I'm gonna just work because I need to work, because I need to support myself.
Right.
Once I had graduated high school, she, kind of taught me into it. So I started college, went off to college. She taught me into going off to college, because when I graduated high school, I got accepted into Bethune-Cookman. And I didn't go because of money. So I told her that, and she was kind of upset with me, and it was like, you should have went. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't, but she did talk me into applying to the community college in Palm Beach County, and I started school and I didn't stop then. So I mean, if they wasn't never around, I don't think I probably would have went to college, right, or done any of the things I've done currently.
And I think that's what a lot of our youth do, though, that you go through this turmoil or this struggle as a child, and you just want to work to provide for yourself. But you had an outlet, a positive influence. Some of the reasons that come across my mind in regards to parents not being there, this is one of the chapters that I thought it would be important for me to put in this particular book, because not just because it's something that everybody go through, but just, my own experience. And so one of the things that I mentioned is that many times the parents choose many factors over their kids, whether it's addiction, money, spitefulness, lack of maturity, lack of persistence. What are some things that you've seen that were maybe not just your parents, but even some people that you know? And I know we've seen some ridiculous stuff, especially working in child welfare. What's some of the things that you've seen as far as reasons why parents ain't been there?
So my parents, I'm gonna start with my mom: men, drugs, selfishness. She claims that the life that she was living wasn't safe for us, so she had to just leave us where we were at to make accommodations for us so that we would be safe and all this stuff. But I felt at the same time, change your life for your kids and be there. Stop doing what you was doing. It wasn't that dang on hard to start it. It can't be that hard to stop. Stop messing with the men. Stop leaving us for the men. Stop leaving us for the drugs and being selfish. Like come on, that don't make no sense to me. For my dad, he was just selfish and very stubborn. That's where I get my stubbornness from. But he was very selfish, I felt, and just didn't. He says that he wanted us, but it was like, your actions aren't showing it. If you wanted us so bad, you would have fought them to the end, regardless of what they were saying in the court, regardless of what they were saying in the streets. You should have fought harder for us, But can't force, like I said, you can't force nobody to love you.
Right.
Can't force nobody to love you, even though I know they love me today. But back then it was just like, y'all, child, please, y'all love me, whatever. Because if you did, you would have fought harder.
What allowed you or motivated you to allow the door to still be open for them to come back into your life? Because I know for me, for him, the door is closed. Like, I'm good on that. The door is closed. But for my mom, we were always very bonded and close. And so I think that's the difference with her. We've always had history. We always was close. When that period where she wasn't there, I was 9. And so it was 9 up until like 15 years old up in there. And so you have from birth to 9, where we were always close. She was present. Even if it was living with my grandma, she was there. So that history was different. I was gonna always have the door open for her, and always will, no matter what. But for him, the door was closed. Knowing you, and knowing that you at some point allowed them back, what encouraged you or let you do that, to even trust to let them come back?
Well, my mom, that door was shut, closed. It was. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. I didn't speak to my mom for years. Only way my mom found out about what I was doing was through my sister or a family member. But that door was closed for her. But what kind of got me to open it back up was my boyfriend's mama. And she was like, you only get one mom and all this stuff. People kept telling me, you need to speak to your mom, see how your mom is doing. It's just like in the back of my head, I don't give a dog how she doing. Because if she was concerned about how I was doing, or how, you know what I'm saying, she would make all efforts to call.
Right.
And I remember when I was on a college tour that my boyfriend mom was, doing. I was on the tour for the first time ever, never been outside the state of Florida without any family members. So
Right.
I'm out there with a whole bunch of kids and people I really don't know. So it was kind of scary. And we were going to, I think we had drove to Chicago.
Oh, wow, that's a nice trip.
Yeah, we had went all the way up to Chicago, and at the time my mom had moved to Michigan with her current husband now. And what made me kind of open that door up, and I said maybe she's changed a little bit, was that she drove all the way to Chicago from Michigan to come and see me while we was at like a rest area, not a rest area, but a hotel for like maybe 2 days. So she drove from all the way from Michigan all the way to Chicago in the middle of the night.
Oh, wow.
To come and see me, and my boyfriend's mom allowed her to come and see me, and I was like, okay, maybe, she's changed, she showed me like, okay, even though I kind of messed up, I'm here now. I said, oh, I'm saying, okay. And she actually told me those words. So I was just like, okay. So in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to stop being.
But you were guarded.
Yeah, I said, let me let my guard down a little bit and just listen to the words that she tells me, because it's like at that point I know what words my mom used to use to try to get me to just like, okay, Ma, and then it's just like I believe her. So I made sure I didn't give too much hope into some of the stuff she started saying after that. But everything she said after that, she made sure her actions showed it. Like, but that's the only way. That's the only reason I opened up back those gates. And then even when I moved to Tallahassee for school, she moved to Tallahassee to be in the same city that I was in and closer to my sister. Because my sister, she was in, I think she was still in high school in Palm Beach, and I was in Tallahassee. But my mom literally moved to Tallahassee to be in the same city that I was in, and to be closer to my sister.
That's good. So she definitely put forth an effort.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, oh yeah, go ahead. That was a different journey.
Till this day, it'd be like my daddy get on my nerves, like love him to death, but it's just like sometimes it's just like you still the same. It's just like you still the same, and it's just like at this point, it's just like I just accepted who my daddy is, because it's like he would never. I can't even go to ask my daddy for $5. I can't even go ask my daddy to watch my son for an hour.
He's just always on the go.
That's just him. He's selfish. So I just, at that point, I think I don't know when it was, but I just came to realization. I'm just like, you know what? I'm not even gonna waste my energy because I know he's sleeping at night. I'm not, because I got a grudge with him for whatever reason.
Have mercy.
And it's just like, whatever. I love you, Dad. But
I think you said an amazing thing, because a lot of times we as youth who have a parent missing, we go through whatever we go through inside. We're angry at them, we're hurt, and we're the ones who are suffering. We have anger issues, we have trust issues, and we all stress because we're the ones who's trying to put forth the effort and it's not being reciprocated. But they're able to move on and go about their life and live their life. And I know it makes us feel horrible, because it's like, how is it so easy for you to just move on and live life? Or at least on the outside, it seems like it's easy for you to move on and live life without being a parent. And here we are, can barely function and get through the day and just think about your ass. But you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, that used to always drive me crazy. And I think that's something that a lot of people probably go through. And like, that's great that you release that from yourself, because it like,
had to.
it's a priority. You got to protect your peace. You got to keep it a priority, but yeah, I do think that's the amazing thing. I know for me, so last time when she was no longer there at 9 years old, I may or may not share that at a later date, but there were reasons why I ended up being raised by my grandmother at that time. It's crazy because I was like 14, 15 years old, and my great grandmother, which was my mom's grandmother, had passed. And she was the matriarch of the family. Everybody loved her. She was the most sweet, amazing woman you could ever meet. And she had got sick. And my grandmother's brother lived up that way. And my mom was in Tallahassee. My uncle at the time was in Midway. And so when their grandmother got sick, he had reached out to my mom and told her. And I remember her calling down to my grandparents' house, and I actually ended up answering the phone. And that's the first time I spoke to my mom since I was 9 years old. And at that time, like I said, I was like 14, 15. And unfortunately, about a week or two later, my great-grandmother passed. And, that kind of opened the door for my grandmother to come around more. I think one of the reasons also that was probably different for me is a lot of kids, when their parent isn't there, they think it's their fault. They wonder if they did something wrong, or could I have done something better? For me, I knew it wasn't my fault, because I knew that there were some unresolved issues that she had with her mom. And because I was being raised by her mom, that probably made some of those issues worse. So I can say for her, I never carried the blame like my mom isn't there because it's something wrong with me. Not to say that there weren't some issues that I did end up having with the whole situation when I got older. But I can say that I never felt like my mom was in my life because something was wrong with me. Other stuff got added to that concept. And so I think because I never blamed myself, I think it was easy for me to keep the door open. And what I always loved is whenever me and my mom have always had like an up and down relationship. It's a roller coaster. It's always been a roller coaster. But I think what I've always liked is the fact that when it's down, it's down. And we can go a long period of time without speaking. But when it's up, it's great. And when it's up, it's like, I've always liked the fact that it's like we pick out right where we left off. Like we haven't missed any ground. And I think for boys, and I've noticed this with having males on my caseload, I'm pretty sure you've seen this too, is one thing about us boys, we don't care what our mama do to us. We are going to defend our mama to the end of the day. And so for me, I don't care what issues I've had with her. I don't care what things I felt like she may or may not have done. I will always and have always, took up for her. We're always going to have her back. And I think for me, that's been something that has always allowed me to want to have some kind of relationship. And I think one thing that helped me, I stopped putting expectations on people that I know they can't meet. And And I think when it comes to her, when it comes to friends I've had in the past, just people in general, I think sometimes we put expectations on people that we know they can't meet. And so I think that has allowed me, and like I said, it's been a roller coaster ride. But now I'll say it's been up for a long time. I'll probably say when my grandfather had his stroke, which is probably about, God, 5, 6 years ago now. And then, my grandmother died almost 2 years ago. Our relationship has continued to be up. And I think one of the things is that I know who she is. I love her for who she is. And I'm not going to put expectations on her that's not fair, or that she can't meet. And not because anything's wrong with her, because she's an amazing person with an amazing heart. But I think that allows me to not get disappointed, and it allows us to have more of a foundation to grow a renewed relationship from. But with that being said, how is your relationship in comparison to the one that you had and things like that? How is your relationship? How does that fuel your relationship with your son? Does that fuel you to do even much more for him? How has that fueled the passion you have with your child?
Oh yeah, it's to a whole nother level. Like I feel like at first I was kind of concerned because I don't too much. Somebody mama, no man. But when I had him, I was just like, dang, I created this little person. Like, loved him instantly. Cause at first I was kind of nervous going into labor too. I was just like, man, y'all gotta cut this little boy out. Y'all know, oh, I'm not pushing no baby out of here. I'm just like, I don't even much want the baby to touch me coming out. When I seen him and hit all that hell on his head and then his little face, I was like, oh, give me him blood and all. Like,
I know that's right.
But even with his dad says it don't make no sense how much you love your son. Our son is just like, you would do anything. Like I would really do anything for PJ.
That's
like I look back at what my mom has done and how she raised us. Well, I would never do nothing like that to him.
Right.
I would never I could go take him to somebody's house right now, and about 30 minutes later, I'm calling, what my baby doing? Never, and that's the thing, my mom never called to see how we were doing.
Right.
PJ could be asleep for 2 hours, and I will call, I want to see him, put the camera on him.
Right.
My mom has never called. So I stayed with my grandmother, I stayed with my uncle, my aunties, and she never called. Mm-hmm. So it's like, now that I know what type of parent she was and how I was raised and how I was treated by my parents, I would never do him like that.
Right.
Because I know how I feel. And I don't never ever want him to resent me in a way where it's like he becomes numb, like I did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I know how it feels to long to want your parents, but at some point you don't want it no more. So now me and my parents good, but right. I don't ever want him to go through what I had went through as a kid. I'm going to give him especially everything he wants and everything he needs so that he can have a good childhood and say, hey, listen, I had my mama and daddy there, even though I don't know what the future going to hold with me and Paris. We may not be married, we may not be together, but I know for PJ, neither one of us is going to be absent. Paris had two parents, and he had a 2-parent household. I didn't have a 2-parent household.
Right.
His childhood was a little better than mine. Mm-hmm. So he understands that, and he knows that I don't want PJ to not have neither one of us. I want him to have both of us, regardless of whether we together or not. Right. So, yep.
I like that. I like that.
My baby always with me.
Because I remember when you just talking and having stories doing while you was pregnant, just like, Tiffany, it's going to be somebody mama.
And I could not still believe it. Like he said, I pushed that baby out and I felt that thing just come out. I was just like, oh.
Do you think it's worse or equal in regards to the father or the mother? Do you think it's worse if the father's not there or the mother's not there? Or do you think
it's equal.
It's equal? What makes you think it's equal?
Because I feel like regardless of the sex of the child, a child needs both parents regardless. They do. I don't care if a parent lives in another state, call. Talk to at least have some type of relationship with your child.
Right.
A child need to at least know who their parents are. And I know that's not always ideal because of the world we live in. I know there's people out there that's getting the in vitro stuff and single mothers that, you know, don't have a relationship with the dad like that. You know how they get together, they mess around with married men, or the men have all these women, or the girls have all the men and prostitution. Stuff like that, I get it.
Right.
But I feel like it's an equal thing. Like, for me, it would be equal. I needed both parents at the time when I was growing up. And I feel like every child that I came across in child welfare needs both their parents. Even though I got my mama, you still got issues. You got issues with your daddy.
Right.
You don't know who your daddy is.
Right.
My daddy didn't do okay, well, you still need to, I feel like all kids, even in foster care, like I said, all children need both of their parents at the end of the day.
Because I agree. I don't think one is more than the other either. Because if you take a boy, for example, a boy needs his mama. That's how you learn how to treat a woman. That's where a son gets nurturing from, and certain lessons. You know, because a lot of us men can be so emotionally unavailable. Then when it comes to a boy, you also need your daddy. That figure how to be a man, how to be a provider, just certain things that a woman can do great raising the boy. Don't get me wrong. But there are still things that a woman can't teach. And I think with a female, once again, how to be a woman, how to be a lady, you need your mama. Just when it comes to stuff that you as women deal with, especially going through puberty in life, you need that example, that guidance. But also you need your daddy.
Yep.
What kind of knuckleheads to stay away from, or just having a father telling you you're pretty every day. So then Dante down the street don't tell you this shit, and that's the first time you ever heard it. So now you busting the wide open, or you know he's gonna take advantage of you.
Come on now.
So yeah,
I'm just grateful enough. I had sense enough to not do nothing like that. I mean, I was a big tomboy. I ain't really like boys or girls like that. I was just real boyish.
Right.
I hung out with girls, but I didn't like girls.
Right.
I did, and I just felt like girls at a young age felt too much drama. Because elementary school, I got bullied.
Okay.
I got bullied in elementary. I ain't gonna say I really did. Mm-hmm. And it was because I was different. All the girls was into the girly stuff, and I just wasn't into it. I didn't like dolls. I didn't really like to wear dresses. Like, that wasn't me. Like, to this day I kind of sort of am that way, but I've kind of
how to switch
out of it. Yeah, because I go get my hair done, my nails done real quick. But yeah, I just I was very different growing up. Very different. But I didn't have my mama to teach me about my period. My grandma told me about that.
Interesting.
My mama didn't tell me about sex. I found out about sex through a friend.
Really?
Yes.
Y'all just having a conversation talking about
having a conversation, telling me what her mama told her. And my first real boyfriend, I was like maybe 15 years old. He was 19. Mm-hmm. I had sex with him. My mama found out because I wrote it in those little slam books you and your friends have.
Yeah. I remember those when I was growing up.
And I had messed around and left that joker on my bed. Oh no. I'm talking about all our business was out. Like, my mama knew I had sex with him numerous times, and she found out about my friend and her dude. I'm just like, oh my God, messed up. Yes. Them slam books had got us in so much trouble. That's when we had started doing the little codes, the little picture code.
Yeah.
We had to break the code to figure out what was going on.
I sure do.
Man.
But
those were the days.
But Tiffany, I want to thank you for, taking part in this project and this conversation for me. I think it's great to have these transparent, open conversations. So thank you for being free, because I know a lot of people can be uncomfortable or just vulnerable, especially if you're not someone who typically like to show your emotions like that, So I definitely appreciate you for being open and honest with the people, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So you take care, and I wish you all the best, Crazy.
Thank you.
Bye. Next up, I'm very excited for this person. This is the person that, Zandra, I realized the day when I was driving home, we've known each other almost 17 years.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Because I
long
remember
time.
it was the year before I joined the organization.
Was it?
Yeah, it was that summer because we met summer 04. When I came up there, you were staying at phase 3, and then I ended up crossing the next year. And that was a fun day when I had to have a conversation, but I ain't got nothing to do with today's conversation. One of the reasons why I really wanted you to be a part of this subject of absentee parents is because my first guest, they had both parents that was absent at different times. For me and you, we had the same parent. And we also have a very strong relationship with our grandparents. And so I thought it'd be really good for us to kind of have this transparent conversation and really share your journey. It's weird because I'm going to ask questions that I clearly know the answers to, but I think it's great that we're at a place in our life where we are able to talk about it, because I do think a lot of people do not, just whether it's been my years of working with youth and just people that we interact with, people always have these complexes that they still have dealt with from childhood and not ready to deal with it. So for you, both of us didn't have our father in our life. For you, was it always like that, or was it a part where he was there and then left? How was it how was your journey with that?
No, he was never around. At the time my mom got pregnant with me, he was heavy on drugs and alcohol, and they gave him an ultimatum: either you do the drugs and the alcohol or you be a dad.
Right.
That was his choice. So he chose to stay in the streets and do drugs and alcohol. Either way, that was his choice. So they never talked bad about him around me. Like they never said, oh, he was this, he was that. Never. It was never anything negatively said about him to me.
Okay.
But he never was there. I think the first time I met him, maybe I was like 5, 6 years old, maybe. And I didn't know who he was. My great grandmother was alive. And actually I may have met him sooner than that, but I don't remember.
Right.
But me actually physically remembering meeting him, I had to be maybe 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, yeah, it had to be like 5 or 6 when I remember talking to him for the first time.
Do you remember what that conversation felt like for the first time?
It felt really weird because I didn't know who he was. Mm-hmm. Like, I grew up with my uncles, who I'm extremely close with. So I didn't lack the male figure because I had my godfather.
Right.
And I had my uncles.
Right.
So it really didn't bother me. So when they was like, oh, this is your dad, I'm like, hey. It's
and
like.
then you weren't the oldest because you also had older siblings, older brothers.
Yes.
That's good. That's good.
He was there for them,
mm-hmm.
but not for me.
So that's interesting because he too was there for all his other kids, but not me. So the fact that they had him and you didn't, did that affect your relationship with your sibling, with your brother? Did you have jealousy? What's the word I'm looking for? How did you let that marinate? How did you process all that inside?
I don't ever think I really thought about it that way because I love my brothers. It's just that simple. Like,
and you knew it wasn't their fault, right?
It wasn't saying.
Right.
I didn't blame them because I mean they were kids too. Like, I can't blame you for something that a grown man chose not to do. Like, one of my brothers, I didn't even find out about my oldest brother till I think I was pregnant with JB.
Wow.
Yeah, I met him when I was pregnant with JB. Mm-hmm. And I formed a relationship with him. I even met an aunt.
Wow.
Formed a relationship with her. Mm-hmm. Now, he gets upset because of the relationship I have with my aunt and my brother. But again, I don't blame them for not being around. Right. This was your responsibility to bring them to me. This was your responsibility for me, for me to meet them. Mm-hmm. You had to initiate that. So when I finally did meet them, yes, I don't blame them for not being around because, for one, my aunt didn't even know who I was. She didn't even know about me until we met. That's when she found out about me.
Wow.
So I can't be mad at somebody for not knowing about me and not having a relationship with me if they don't know me. Can't do that. So,
right. And I think that's a level of just maturity that was probably already innate with you traditionally, just because of how you was brought up and raised. Because some people, unfortunately, you have jealousy within siblings, you have jealousy within families. I think it's great at a young age you realize they were kids just like me. I can't blame them because my dad was in their life and I wasn't. And I think that for me, I never blamed them either. I think I too had uncles, I had mentors, I had, father figures. I had amazing uncles. And so for me, I didn't feel like I was lacking. I just think for me, I had a little, how can I explain it? It just made me feel a little jealousy, when you have your friends who got their dad and you see how their interaction is. And although my granddad and my uncle did amazing things, and my granddad, I tell you to this day, I'm his child, and my uncle Philip has always treated me like his kids, a part of me always knew that it was just, I wasn't, and so for me,
right.
I always felt like there was something that I was lacking. I think it wasn't for me until I got 25 when I decided to kind of wash my hands of the situation. But for you, were there times where the relationship had the opportunity to get better? Because for me, it did not. I feel like I always put myself out there. I feel like I always had the door open. And at some point, when you keep being disappointed, enough is enough for me. So did you ever have a better journey? Did your relationship ever improve? What was that like?
I mean, we had a lot of ebbs and flows. Like, we had a lot of ups and downs.
Right.
When I was in college is one of the worst times I've had with him.
Mm-hmm.
And the instant was, with the fast for trying to fill out financial aid. Being that my mom was a teacher, they didn't give me that much money because they feel like teachers make a lot of money.
Correct.
Me knowing that he is retired and military, I'm like, I could get more money by using him.
Right. Military,
so,
yeah.
So I'm thinking, as with FAFSA, all I really need is just your information. It doesn't affect you anything. They look at your income, they look at my income, and then I get more money.
Mm-hmm.
Him not wanting to provide me with his information to help me go through school, really, I was like, you know what? I'm done. If you can't even, I didn't ask you for $1.
Right.
I never asked him for anything. This is the one thing I've ever asked him for. The one thing I asked you for is just information to help me get through school, and you tell me no.
And it's something positive at that.
Right. And you tell me no. So that bothered me. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. And I didn't talk after that. I didn't talk to him for maybe at least 3 years after that.
Okay.
You know me well enough to know when I get mad.
Right.
There is no
You're done. Right.
When I get I had to pray about it. I talked to my mom, then I talked to my baby, talked to my grandma.
Right.
And asked her, which wasn't the best person to ask because she don't like him either.
Right.
So her theory was, don't talk to him. I don't care.
Right. I don't like that nigga no way.
Exactly. So I was like, my grandma said, I ain't got to talk to you.
Right.
But then she did come around, was like, no, that is your dad, But so after a while, I did eventually reach out to him because at that time it was my responsibility to reach out to him because I had stopped talking to him. And I did reach out to him. I did not apologize for not talking to him because I did not feel sorry for not talking to him.
Right, you had good reason.
I did not apologize for not talking to him. Mm-hmm. But I did explain to him why.
Okay.
And he still didn't get it. So after a while, I just kind of let it go.
Okay.
And then I just moved forward. I was like, now the only way that I knew I would be able to continue our relationship, I had to just let it go. Mm-hmm. I couldn't dwell on it.
Right.
Now going up, it was tough. It was like some days are better, like around Father's Day. Yeah, it was kind of tough.
Right.
But it wasn't as bad as it could have been because, like I said, I had my uncles, I had my godfather. So when you made the little macaroni pictures in school, I gave it to my goddaddy or I gave it to my uncle, whoever. I kind of got up. Now, when my uncle and my godfather started having their own kids, I was older, so it didn't really affect me as much as not being able to be with them as often because I was older myself.
And you was able to adapt better to that. Because you
Right. Right. Now, if they would have had those kids when I was younger, it may have affected me.
Right.
But being that I was a little bit older, it didn't bother me as much. So, but our relationship now, I have to explain to him, like, he wants me to call him all the time. No, sir, you're on my time at this point. I call you when I feel like it's okay to call you. I call you when I'm like, all right, cool, you crossed my mind. Hey, how you doing?
Right.
You're at this point now, you're on my time.
You compartmentalize your relationship and you're content with where it's at.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still building, but it's not like I'm going to stop my day to be like, oh, let me call William.
Right.
Oh, let me do this for William.
Do you call, and I was just going to ask you, do you call him Daddy or you call him by his first name?
I call him William.
It's interesting because...
or I call him my mama, baby daddy.
Well, I don't have any kind of communication with mine, so anytime I refer to him, it's my mama's sperm donor. But I remember my grandmother...
My mama, baby daddy.
Hello. Like, my grandmother's dad wasn't there for her either. Like, my grandmother was raised by her grandparents, actually. And I remember my granddaddy Bud, that's her dad's name, always called him by his name. Never call him daddy. And so I always thought that was interesting, and you can always, I feel like you can always tell the dynamics in relationships when a child call their parent by their
right.
name.
Most definitely.
You ain't gonna let nobody, you ain't gonna let no child call you by your first name, you know what I'm saying?
I wish JB would.
But I feel like that was interesting and big of you because I never knew that part. I never knew that you felt the responsibility to be the bigger person and reach out first. I feel like that's amazing.
And it was just for that particular situation.
Right.
Because I was the one who stopped talking. Like, I mean, he would call.
Right.
But I didn't take his phone calls because I literally never asked you for anything. I never asked you for anything.
And the one time
you made all these empty promises. And it never bothered me when you made these empty promises. It didn't really affect me that you made these empty promises. But the one time I actually asked you for something, and it's not something that's going to be detrimental to you in any type of way, that's going to put you out the way, any type of way, you tell me no. Oh yeah, I'm good. Like, there's no need for me to even further this anymore. Right. Because that lets me see right there that you have no concern for me at all.
Right.
Because I'm literally trying to better myself. I'm literally trying to get more money for school.
Right.
And if you can't see or understand that, then okay, cool. Say less. I don't have anything for you.
It's not like you was calling him for bail money. It's not like you was calling him for, shoes and ayaya. It's not like you had all these babies you calling him to help take care of. You trying to get an education.
At all. But what amazes me now is his relationship with the kids. Like, he's a great grandfather. He doesn't miss a birthday. He doesn't miss a holiday. When he calls, he asks about them and he brags about them this and brags about them that. And I feel like it's kind of overcompensation for not being there for me, but it doesn't bother me at all. And I told him when after I had JB, he asked me, he's like, are you going to let me be in their lives? I was like, that again, that's not my responsibility. That's not my option. That's your responsibility and your choice. Right. If you want to be in their life, you can. Right. You have to make that choice. I'm not doing it for you.
Right.
I'm not going to force it on you. I'm not going to do that. If you want to be a granddaddy, you do.
The door is open for that. Right.
So you want to talk to him, call and talk to him. You want to see him, let me know.
Right.
But I'm not going to force you to do it. So he has a pretty decent relationship with them. Like he'll call and him and JB will talk for 20, 30 minutes.
Right.
Like no business. Don't bother me none. I'm watching TV.
Because what do you think of situations where people don't get to where you are? People never decide to open that door. People never decide to ever allow the particular absentee parent to come back and have some kind of presence in their life. It's like they shut the door, lock it, and leave it alone.
That may work for them. That may work for them. I mean, like I said, for 3 years, I didn't talk. I mean, for 3 years after we did talk,
right,
and then I stopped talking to him for the 3 years, I was good. Like, I didn't feel any type of way at all. Like, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything because, for one, I really don't know you.
right.
You know?
And that's something you just said. You did not know him. How can you miss somebody you don't know? And that is true because we both never had ours. I can't tell you 5 things about the man, but beyond the fact of, oh, he went to high school with so and so. He played football. Like, you can't miss something. You never knew the person.
Exactly. And I mean, truth be told, you probably know. I mean, I can tell you his name. His first name William. His last name Saul.
Don't ask me no middle name because I can't tell you that.
I can't tell you that. His mama name was, I think, Frank. Oh yeah, his mama name was Frankie. And the only reason why I know that is because a lady at my church knew his mom, and evidently I look like her.
Okay.
And she said she calls me Little Frankie all the time. The first time she called me, I thought she was trying to call me a man. I felt some type of way because I did not know that was his mom's name. So I was like, "Did she just call me a man?"
So you thought she was trying you?
I was like, "Did she just call me a man? So you trying to sound like a man in the face? I don't like that." But and now I'm learning more. Like his birthday sometime in July. What day? I don't know.
Okay.
It's July. I think he's 70 something or another.
Right.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you these things. But hey, I mean, I feel like, I think on his side, I think it's more on his side than mine. Okay. Because he gets really upset if I don't call. He gets really upset if I every time he calls me, I would like to hear from my daughter more often. I'll call you when I want to.
Now, I will say this. We both know, both of us can be a little stubborn, Zandra. Do you?
Well, I'm not saying that I would, and I'm definitely not saying that I'm not stubborn. Sometimes I do, and I'm petty too.
Right.
So sometimes it's me being petty and me being spiteful because I can. Like I said, you're on my time at this point. I'm an adult. Right. Your time was when I was a child, and I do it that way. But so I'm an adult now.
So do you ever feel you're going to get to the point where you don't feel like you're on my time, let me control this and let it just happen naturally and gradually and whatever? You want to have control because you want to protect yourself.
Yes, because I'm not going to let
regress.
Right. I'm not going to let you into my life and then you end up doing what you did before. Because to me personally, I just feel like you trying to mend it. Just I don't know what your intentions are. Like, I don't feel like, to me personally, I just don't feel like his intentions are genuine.
And you guys haven't had those hard conversations where you can express that concern, or you're not ready for it?
I don't really care.
Okay.
I don't really care if it's genuine or not. I personally, and he may be genuine, but again, I'm at the point where I'm just like, oh, okay.
Right.
Like.
But I think it's great that the door is open and you haven't closed. I'm definitely proud of you for that, because you could have been like, nah, nigga, deuces.
Like, even when I'm like, and I do every so often, like, you know what? I ain't talked to him in about a month. Let me call him.
Do you give him anything for Father's Day or birthdays or Christmas? I mean, at least a card. Do you do anything?
No, I take that back. No, I did. I think like a year ago, I made him a shirt and a mug combo set.
Okay.
I did that. And see, that was personalized because I made it.
And I bet he loves it.
Yeah. He took a picture with it and I was like, all right.
You're so silly.
Thanks. But it's not like, I'm not, now for my godfather, heck yeah. I was just the other day. I just saw something. I was like, I think I want to get this for my goddaddy for my for Father's Day. I like this.
I think you and your dad should do a bonding trip. Get an Airbnb somewhere, and you and all the kids, you and all his kids go spend a weekend together. At least 2 days in an Airbnb somewhere. You and your brothers.
I come for a couple of hours.
Demeter, a couple of hours.
I said what I said.
But Zandra, that is part of who you are.
I come
He
for a
helped
couple of
make
hours.
you. Him and your mama got together. They helped make you. I'm proud of you for having him in his life, but I need you to take a little bit more baby steps. Y'all probably could be the best of friends.
No, that definitely ain't gonna happen. No.
If you can let some of them walls down and just let him in, but I get the need to be guarded. I definitely get the need to be.
But for one, he doesn't know me. He makes assumptions about me and just assume things about me. Sir, you don't know me.
But have you let him get to know you? Because you're so guarded.
I mean, I give him pieces of me.
Okay.
Hey, this, you know,
That's fair. That's fair.
like, because as much as anybody, I love history. I love to read. I love politics. I love all that stuff.
Absolutely.
For him to tell me, "Oh, I don't see you being in the politics," you don't know me. That you really don't know me. Then
Why would he make that? But he made that assumption based off of what?
We were talking about. I think we were talking about. This was back when President Obama first was running.
Okay.
And I was talking about how, if he wins, he's going to have to be very guarded because they're going to do this, that, I'm basically talking about how, if he wins, he's going to be protected. The stuff he's going to try to do, they're going to make it fail. They're not going to give him those options to actually be successful. I'm talking about stuff like that.
Right.
He was like, oh, no, he's going to be fine. I'm like, no, he's not. Like, you have to really look into society. You have to really look at the government. And he was like, oh, I guess you don't know much about politics.
No, you don't. You think they're going to let this black man up in here and just make everything peaches and cream for him? Hell no. They don't do that for the white ones.
You must not pay attention to politics. You must not like politics. Yeah, you don't know me.
Right.
I'm saying like that, you don't know me.
No, I feel you on that.
And then like when it come down to my relationship, as well as anybody, like, once I'm done, I'm done.
Right.
He's been around for a few of the other relationships I've been in. And
was he around for my favorite? We ain't got to say the name, and we ain't gonna talk about it because that's a whole different topic. But was he around for that one or no?
He was around for that one. So.
Okay. Did he want you to stay with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I think he the one. How do you know? You don't know me. This man has literally put me through hell.
Unfortunately, I hate to admit it, yeah.
This man has literally...
Because I wanted y'all to make it.
This man has literally put me through hell and back again. And no, why would you feel like this is the one? Like, what are you talking about?
It was y'all relationship was like a TNT sitcom.
Oh my gosh. We were so toxic. And then like now with my person now,
right.
He wants to ask, oh, well, when are y'all getting married?
When y'all ready?
When we're ready.
Right.
Oh, I can't walk my baby girl down the aisle.
So what I see you doing, because I know my friend is petty, but she real. I can see you invite him to the wedding and allowing your goddaddy or somebody else to walk you down the aisle.
Oh, that's definitely what's gonna happen. You can come. You can even sit in the little front rows right there.
And
but as far as walking,
but he has to be real with himself. He don't have that relationship with you. So just to assume that you're going to allow that because of who he is biologically is not fair to you.
No, like I was talking to my mom about it. I was like, no, like I would want my cousin, who I'm very close with, to walk me in. Then halfway, my godfather walked me the rest of the way to give me away. Because my godfather has been there.
Correct.
And the only reason why I didn't say my uncles or anything, because all my uncles have girls. So they're going to have the opportunity to walk their daughters down the aisle.
Right.
My older cousin has a daughter. He's going to be able to have that opportunity.
Right.
My cousin doesn't have a daughter, and my godfather literally calls me his daughter. Like,
Right.
I'm not just his god. I'm not his goddaughter. I am his
Absolutely.
daughter. He doesn't
Absolutely.
treat me as just a goddaughter. He treats me as a daughter. The
Mhm.
first man to hold my son was my godfather.
Aw.
He put my godfather put my son's crib together
Right. I remember
while
you
I
tell
was in the
yeah.
hospital having him, So
Yep.
my godfather has been there from the very beginning. I remember being at their house, at my godparents' house, taking a bath. And he's sitting right there while I'm singing in the tub because I want to sing to my God. And he
Aw.
will sit right there and let me sing to him. So why would I not want somebody who has been there for me
Correct.
from the beginning?
Yeah.
He hasn't missed anything. He was at high school graduation. He's been there every step of the way. At
Mhm.
my baby shower, he was there.
Mhm.
Every my son's baseball game, he's there.
Mhm.
Why would I take that from him? Because I
Correct.
have that relationship with him.
Mhm. And he's
I
invested
was
in
in
you
his
like a
wedding,
father figure should.
right? You know what I'm saying? I was in his wedding. Like, I was the flower girl in his wedding to my godmother. Like, that is who when I see a father figure, I see
That's
my
who it
godfather.
is. Amen.
That's who I see. Don't get
Amen.
me wrong, like I said, my uncles have always been there as well. But like I said, they have their own girls. They're gonna have the opportunity to walk their daughters down the aisle. I am my godfather's daughter. So therefore the opportunity would be for him to do it for
Amen.
me.
Yeah, I respect that.
And I mean, I'm not going to say unfortunate because it's unfortunate on his behalf
Correct, but not for you.
because you missed that opportunity because you were not around.
Mhm. Mhm.
So therefore, yes, you can be there. I don't even mind you being there. Yes, you can be there.
Right.
But as far as the opportunity of giving me away, that's going to fall on my godfather.
Correct.
And I was like, I'll even split a father-daughter dance. I'll do it with my godfather, and I'll dance with you too.
And I think that's big of you. I think you that's big of you because
That's all right.
most people probably won't even do the damn dance. You lucky
I thought about it. I was like, I only want to dance with you, but I'll split it. I'll start off with my goddaddy, then I'll bring you on over and I'll do it with you. But that's it. Like, you're not gonna, I don't know why you assume that you would have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do make assumptions, So I think
But when they say what you assume, what they say.
hello, out of you, not me. Hello, somebody. So with that being said, I just want to thank you for doing this conversation. I feel like it's going to be very beneficial to the show and the other guests that I have. So silly. I wish I could see her face. Well, some of y'all will. But nonetheless, I want to thank you. Hope you have a good night. Thank you for always supporting anything I'm doing. I really appreciate it.
Always. I'm ready for the next book. Let's get it together.
Hello, somebody coming soon. Appreciate it. Take care, Zandra.
Let's manifest these next books.
Hello.
Plural.
Hello.
Plural.
God got some things coming soon. Stay tuned.
Let's
Stay tuned.
go. Let's go.
Take
Love
care.
you, Marquise.
All right, bye-bye. So there are some stats that I feel is very important for me to share with you all. In doing research for absentee parents, I took a look at the U.S. Census Bureau as one of my sources. And some of the very important stats I came across is that 57.6% of black children live with an absentee father. 31.2% of Hispanic children live with an absentee father. 20.7% of Caucasian children live with an absentee father. 72.9% of the U.S. population is fatherless, and that is the most significant family or social problem that we face here in America. I came across an initiative known as the National Fatherhood Initiative, and they came across some stats that I thought was quite interesting. Daughters are less likely to engage in risky sexual behavior when they have consistent contact and a sense of closeness with their dads. Children with imprisoned fathers are more likely to have depression. And lastly, there are 2 million single family, let me back up. There are 2 million single father households versus 10 million single mother household in the United States of America. Well, that's it for the zone today. We are officially shutting it down. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, remember this: one small positive thought in the morning can change your whole day. Holla.